Deborah. I'm coming to you from Canberra, Australia, and this is a channel I started to help me with my unfinished projects problem. Hi, this is Editing Deb. I'm just going to talk about some of the video in here. I've had a couple of conversations over the last week about the vertical videos that I've made on my phone. I've made them that way because there were things in the top and the bottom that I wanted included in the shot, and I couldn't make it work with the widescreen. However, a few people have said that they really don't like that. They feel like they're not getting all of the story. And so I've gone in and I have converted the vertical ones for this video into widescreen. I do lose a little bit at the top and the bottom when I'm doing that. So you just need to imagine that there is a row of HST blocks at the top that I'm judging the background fabrics or the border fabrics against that, as well as the teddy blocks. And in future, I will make a much bigger effort to do things in widescreen, but sometimes that vertical one is really just better. So there is one right towards the end that is a vertical one, which I have made as large as possible. I've cropped it down and made it as big as possible, but there is still a bit of a border on the edge. I do use some old videos because these projects take quite some time to make, and so there will be bits and pieces in some future videos that were taken quite some time ago. I can't go back and retake them because the project's moved on, so I'll try and do this for them. And I'm also in the process of trying to source a camera that will give me more flexibility in how I can film. Anyway, I've heard you. I'm working on it, and please just be patient for a little while. I'm back with the second teddy bear quilt. I've cut the panels out. Unfortunately, they're not all exactly the same size. So at the moment, I am auditioning borders for the teddy panels, and I've pulled out some more of that beautiful hand dyed fabric that my son's mother-in-law gave me, and just seeing how they go. I actually quite like that, but this raspberry, this is another one of the hand-dyed fabrics, and I absolutely love it. But again, I don't think it's the right one for this project. No, it's not quite the right red to go with the other fabrics. And it's not exactly the red that's in the panels. I'm just trying the pink because it was so great with the other panels. It's not with these. I wanted to try the purple because there's a bit of purple in all of them. This little band down here is purple and green, and some of them have like purple vests or purple flowers. This is a grunge. It's got a kind of almost a pinky bit and then a lighter bit. I think if anything's going to go with it, the grunge would. I don't think it's the right thing with the other fabrics. I thought I'd try and pick out the colour in the little labels, their name labels down the bottom. I think that's my favourite so far. I had a brown paisley that has the maroony colour in it. That might be the go. It is in the blocks. It's there. There's a lot of brown and gold in the blocks, and there's a bit of maroon. And it's only going to be a small border. I think it'll be 1.5 inches. That might be it. I don't know about busy, but that bit is going to disappear. That will be the edge. So there is a very small plain edge. There's this one. It's quite variegated. It is also in some of the blocks. I think it actually draws too much attention to itself rather than lifting the bears. This is a bit out of left field, but I think I like it the best. It does appear in the blocks. There aren't any up there at the moment, but it is in some of them. And then there's this one. If I want to draw attention to the bears, this is the go. Well, actually, it's drawing attention to itself, but it's around the bears. That is also in the blocks. I haven't got any of that up either. Okay, I love those borders, but now the blocks are all wrong. I'm going to have to make different blocks. I'm going to go away and think about this and then see if I can put it together, and I don't have to make a heap more blocks because I'm supposed to be just using things up. Okay. I'm not going to go ahead with this with those blocks. I'm going to source more fabric. I can make a way better quilt with those bordered teddy blocks with something else other than those blocks up the top. I do actually have 3 copies of that panel, I think, and if I bordered them with something else, I could, probably green, I could probably use those blocks. I really like this green, but I think it's probably too much green. I've got a selection of the blocks that will be around it up there, so I'm also looking at it against them too, but it has to, I don't know, it has to kind of pick out the teddies, I think. They're not brightly coloured, so there's going to have to be something that pulls out the brighter colours in them. I seem to have completely forgotten to film the bit where I decide to use this green that you've just seen and border the blocks from the third panel with the green and go ahead and use the existing HST blocks. So you're coming in, that decision's been made and acted upon and nearly finished. Taking my determination to use all of the HST blocks so that I can cross these teddy bear quilts off the UFO bingo card, I have got to a point of stalemate where the blocks that I already had weren't appropriate for the spots I've got left. So I've taken all the leftover blocks apart and I'm tailor making them. It progresses. My goal is to actually fill up all the gaps before I take a break. This is what's left. I just couldn't find a place for those, so it was getting very, very repetitive. And this is what I have come up with. I'm going to leave that there for a little while, keep looking. I did a black and white one, and there are a couple of spots where maybe things could be moved, but I think it would just be relocating the problem. So I'll just leave it up here for probably 24 hours, keep coming back to it, and when I'm happy with it, I'll sew it all together. Hi, You can see the second teddy bear quilt in the background there. That's on the design board, and I'm actually sewing it up now. I'll just turn the camera on for a little bit while I'm doing this webbing thing that we do, and I'm close to halfway through, well, the sewing. I'm going to have to cut down the teddy bear blocks. I put a border on them, and because a couple of them weren't exactly the same size as the others, I've just put a bigger border than I needed, and I'm going to cut them all down to the same size. Okay, let's do some sewing. That's my 2 piles. That was the top of the quilt, working down for 6 rows. These 2 were next to each other, and we just folded over. I do like to just match up these seams on the half square triangle. It doesn't always come up as the perfect point, but I just like to do it. Had a bit of a weird day today. Woke up to heaps of rain, had a severe weather warning for the area. There was supposed to be very high winds and blizzard conditions in the mountains that are, well, probably 150 kilometers down the road. Usually when there's a blizzard happening there, it gets pretty cold here, but it's actually turned into quite a nice day. It was raining this morning, so all of my little plants in pots have had a lovely natural water rain, and I have a lovely sunshine to look out on while I'm in my sewing room. I will go for a walk in a little while, but I usually go on a bushwalk on a dirt trail, so I'll just give it a chance to dry out a little bit. It doesn't really bother my hiking boots, but they just need to be cleaned before they're allowed inside again. Years and years ago, I had a neck injury. It was quite a bad whiplash, and if I'm not being very, very consistent with my neck exercises and taking care of it, it gives me a bit of a problem every now and then. So this week I've had a bit of a problem. So I haven't done much sewing, and I have done very little knitting, so not a lot of progress this week. It's coming good now. I'm just giving it a bit of a try out. If it starts to hurt, I'll stop. But it's been all okay so far. I've managed to get my chair down far enough that I'm not really head down over the sewing machine. I'm able to stay fairly upright, which is much better for the neck. And then we just go back to the top, and this is the next row. I've webbed one of the edges, and now I'm just about to do the crosswise to make it into a solid piece of fabric. This is one of the few occasions when I do pin. I like to try and get these corners as close as possible. I've pressed them so that they butt up against each other, but sometimes where there are a lot of seams crossing, they're quite thick, so I have to kind of pull them flat and then pin in the middle. And then hopefully as I'm stitching them, I will remember to keep just that tiny bit of pressure on them to keep them separated. And So this is the last lot of the webbing that I will be doing, and then I just need to cut down the teddy bear panels and we'll be in business. I can finish off the top. I need to cut down the teddy bear panels to a the same size as a 3x3. So that's what we've got in between all of the panels. Just take a little bit of time, guide them through, make sure that the fabrics stay fairly even. And so until it's all done.